welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth.
And I am Stacey Earlywine. And I don't know what's happening, but something smells delicious in front of me.
Oh my goodness, we have cake on our show today. We have a cake.
Wow, it is beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful.
And it smells really good, you guys.
Yes. So for those of you that watch our show, you know a few things about our show. We always talk about something from the past. We always talk about some Clay County history or something. In a couple of episodes back, we talked about the Orchard City Cookbook. And I know you can't see this real well, but we went over it on a past episode, and it was all about how Flora was called the Orchard City because of all the apple orchards here.
Yep.
Which is going to be what our show is about today, is about the apple orchards.
Which is fascinating.
Yes, we had...
Absolutely fascinating.
We had my mother, Debbie DeVore, who is a fabulous baker.
Oh, gosh, she's
bake
good.
something for us from that cookbook, and we are going to taste test it live on our show today on By the Way with Beth and Stacey. So, by the way, Stacey.
By the way, we're having cake. You know, there's I saw a T-shirt that said, "Chubby girls are hard to kidnap. Eat the cake."
Yeah. I'm going to use this right-handed cake server.
Oh, no.
Left-handed.
Okay. So do you remember what this one's called?
This is called a snow cake.
Snow cake.
The thing about the snow cake is that all the ingredients were white. So this is the recipe.
Everything that's bad for you is in that cake.
Okay. So it's 3/4 a cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of sweet milk, 3/4 cup of cornstarch, 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of royal baking powder, and then you sift the flour, the cornstarch, and the powder together, cream, sugar, and butter, add milk and flour alternately, and last the whites of 7 eggs, flavor to taste, from Mrs. Lizzie Patton.
Wow.
Okay, so my mother said that it was somewhat of a heavy cake. It would be perfectly paired with fruit. And it didn't have directions for what to do with the egg whites. So she said she just whipped them and folded them into the batter. And this is the best part. She felt like it needed a little something, something, because she knows these things.
Yes. And
so she added strawberry jam for a filling to sweeten it up.
Of course she did.
To sweeten it up.
Who does that except for your mother?
Yes. So my mother, Debbie DeVore, she writes a weekly column for the Clay County Republican. And it's called All About the Food. She includes recipes that she makes. Hand me your plate, Stace. Let's load you up.
Oh, my.
And
I love this cake plate, too.
Whoop.
What?
And
this is why they don't ask Beth to be a server at a wedding.
I missed a piece of yours.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that.
Yes.
So it's like 2 little cakes. There's like that.
This is like a layer here. And I can tell this is like a heavy.
It is heavy. It's almost
cake.
like a pound cake.
Yes. Oh
my goodness.
My mom also does restaurant reviews. I was saying in her column. So if you don't subscribe to that paper, you should. But look how pretty this is.
Oh, and it is wonderful.
Is it wonderful?
Yes.
I'm going to take a little bite too. So. The cookbook had a lot of recipes in there about things that you could do with apples. I suppose you could probably put an apple filling in this too.
Wow, that is wonderful. It's got a different flavor to it. The icing's great.
Yeah.
I think this would make a great wedding cake.
That would make a fantastic wedding cake. Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you, Debbie DeVore.
Okay, so
I'm going to call this one a winner.
Are we just going to do this?
We're going to eat the rest of the cake during the commercial break.
Yeah. So I have to stop?
So good. Yeah, stop eating.
And what's in the middle?
A strawberry filling. Strawberry filling. So snow cake. So if you're interested in making something, this Orchard City Cookbook was from the early 1900s. In between 1900 and 1905.
Wow.
Go back to that episode if you want to rewatch it. It's on our YouTube channel, which is By the Way with Beth and Stacey on YouTube. You can find that and read all about hear all about the funny recipes that are in that book. But snow cake is a winner.
Snow cake is an absolute winner.
Winner, chicken dinner. If you're looking for a good cake recipe.
You know what else is a winner?
Okay, what do we
My
got
magazine today.
Oh, right. Yes.
Let's see. I don't want to get in front of.
Wait. Yep. Let's look at the front of it. Sorry, we're skipping ahead.
Okay, sorry, little cake, but look at her.
Let's move the cake.
Let's move the cake. I don't really want to move the cake. This is our McCall's magazine. You can see it costs 10 cents. It is also from the October edition from 1924. We got a beautiful Spanish girl on the front. This is the Spanish American Girl edition of McCall's magazine, and that is beautiful. Wonderful. It is beautiful for 1924. You do the math on that. That's almost 100 years old.
Oh yeah.
This magazine that I'm touching is 99 years old.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
That's
and it's
crazy.
in beautiful shape. Got it from Don Thomas, one of our faithful followers. Don gave this to me, and yeah, we just love it, love it, love it. So now let's find our handy dandy, our ad. This one's a funny ad.
Let's take a look at it.
Look at this. Yeah, Eureka
vacuum cleaner.
Eureka vacuum cleaner. Yes. And I love it because, okay, so like she's a little bit different than our 50s. She's got, look at her shoes are so cute.
Aww.
But this is delivered to your door free. A brand new Eureka vacuum cleaner to help you in your fall house cleaning. I love this ad because it's literally $4.75 down and easy monthly payments.
I can imagine the vacuum cleaner salesman's coming door to door with these.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. Is Eureka still?
I think it's still a thing.
It is. But what I find it like, you see, so you got the main lady there and she's vacuuming, and then right above in between her and the Eureka sign, there's a lady and she's vacuuming her bed sheets. It's her bed. And I'm thinking, okay.
Is she maybe vacuuming the mattress, you think? Or is it the sheets? Because I can't tell.
Maybe she's vacuuming. Are you supposed to vacuum your mattress?
I think people do that. Obviously, we don't.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Maybe it was more important back then.
I'm like, what are you? Yeah, that's what are you doing there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I just love this one. And once again, she's in high heels. High heels. Put your flip flops on, girl.
Yeah, they didn't have flip flops.
I know. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them if you don't have flip flops back. I can't wait for the time when you get to put flip flops on. I love my flip-flops. I'm wearing them right now.
Are you really?
Oh, heck yeah. Once my feet I love boots. It's like, oh, gosh, fall's coming, and I can't wait. I'm going to put my boots on. And then by this time, I'm like, I want to put them on. I just want to slip right in my flip-flops.
Yeah, I'm not a big flip-flop lover like you are.
I got quite a few pairs. It's almost, I don't even want to say how many pairs of flip-flops that I have. Because
I like my leather orthotic shoes. No shame in my game.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So we mentioned our Orchard City cookbook, and it was called Orchard City Cookbook because, why, Beth?
Because Flora was known as Orchard City because we had so many orchards.
We were called the King of Apples.
That's right.
Clay County wide, and it's Clay County wide.
Clay County wide.
It's not just Flora. This is Clay County wide,
and that's why Orchardville became Orchardville.
Yeah.
All the way that direction too. So.
So this is a big, it's kind of crazy. So where we're at, we are in the 1900s.
Yes.
And Clay County is called the King of Apples. The statistics from D.C. show that in 1900, a 20-mile radius of Flora was nothing but apple trees.
Yep. We had more than anyone else.
In the world.
Not just the United States, in the world.
Let's focus on that for a second.
We supplied apples to the world. The world, the whole world.
Isn't it crazy?
That's crazy. And what's crazy is that we don't anymore, and everyone's okay with that.
Yeah, why? I wonder what we would be. I mean, I wonder what it would be like, because we're big farming now, but
yeah.
Because I would imagine, if you think about that, if we were supplying apples to the entire world, I mean, it would have just been nothing but fruit trees.
Yeah, almost
everywhere.
Every family had an orchard.
Yes. Yeah, there was a lot of owners of orchards. It was really...
So we had a college here, and we've touched on that briefly a little bit on other episodes, but it was called Orchard City College.
It's an empty lot right now. It is across the street from where the First Church of Flora is on that corner. Yes, it was Orchard City College. Very interesting stories from that. We definitely need to write that down in our episode because it's neat. And then later on it turned into the Cardascio Funeral Home. And then
The Hancock Funeral.
The Hancock Funeral Home.
Summers
Kistler Funeral Home. Was it ever the Lookout Engelmeyer?
I don't know that it was called. I'm not sure.
I can't remember, but so it just turned into a lot of things.
And then in Xenia, there was the Orchard City Bank.
Yeah, I
in
wonder.
Xenia.
Yeah, how neat is that? So like, and then you have like of course Orchardville, and so a lot of things we were definitely known. This is a very interesting fact. Thousands of acres of land, because like we live in a time where land is almost untouchable. Land right now is
it's
outrageous. Get this. Thousands of acres of land, which sold for $7 to $10 an acre.
Before the orchards.
Was
$7 to $10 an acre. And then all the orchards took off.
And now.
Around 1900.
Yep. So 1900 they take off. So now guess what they're worth, Beth?
Well, I know. Because I looked it up. But it's like, what, $100 to $500 an acre they were selling?
An acre, yeah, in 1900 because they had orchards.
I don't do a lot of percentages, but, I mean, that's
it's a pretty high percentage there.
Yeah. So the first apple trees on record were set by Thomas Eliot. And he came to Clay County in 1818. So this is a little earlier. So we're talking 1900 is when they really took off. The very first ones were here set in 1818.
So did somebody actually physically plant these trees?
Thomas Eliot did.
Okay.
And he came from Washington County, Indiana, and he had already grafted some apple sprouts. So he was a little bit of a gardener type outdoorsy guy that liked to play around with seeds. His younger brother was Isaac Eliot, and he lived near Xenia, and he was also known for his grafting of fruit trees. And he lived until 1885 when all the farmers around there had a few apple trees growing, and then they just kind of took off from there a little bit. They added a little bit at a time
through the years. Were we actually known as, has Henry Clay founded Clay County yet? By 1818, because we want to focus on Henry Clay.
Yeah.
Too.
That, I don't know.
We don't know about that. We'll research that a little bit more. We're talking 1818. Wow, that is fascinating. Yeah. We do need to take a quick commercial break, though, because we got a lot to discuss about orchards.
We'll be right back.
I got to eat cake.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank. We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
It's the weekend, and your symptoms are worsening. The morning of a big meeting, and you have a bigger sore throat. Ever experienced that urgency after picking up your sick child and your community health center has already closed? You will be able to connect to a provider at crhpc.org. Even if you have never been to CRHPC, you are welcome to utilize our services. Feel better after scheduling a video visit with CRHPC.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you could be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Okay, welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. We are talking about orchards.
Orchards, yes.
They were everywhere. They were covering Clay County from one end to the other, and we were the #1 supplier of apples to the world.
Clay County was known as the king of apples, which is fantastic. Where did we leave? Oh, we're talking about the price of acreage.
We were, and we were talking about early in the 1880s. What happened? The price of the acreage went up in the early 1900s because of the apples. But leading up to that, the first apples were in 1818. And by the 1880s, several commercial orchards were set out and cultivated in the Flora area. So between 1900 and 1930, millions of bushels of apples were shipped and hauled out of Clay County.
Yes.
And
Just
adjoining
think about
areas.
that. Yes. Millions.
Millions.
Thousands of jobs were created because of these orchards.
Yes.
But millions of bushels of apples.
Millions.
Wow.
So,
it's on an average tree would produce 15 to 20 bushels.
Wow.
What is
one tree? A bushel?
Yeah. How big? What are we talking? How many apples will be in a bushel?
Well,
a bushel and a peck.
A bushel is one of those big baskets, like we've seen. That would be a bushel.
Yeah.
I could have brought one of those.
I'm
a bushel
kind of
basket
sad
in.
now. I was at Walmart the other day and I bought apples, and boy, it would be nice if we. Gosh. Darn it. Yeah.
So in a past episode we talked about the Ebner ice. Ice plant. Well, it was also cold storage. It was Ebner ice and cold storage, and it was one of the reasons it was built was to keep the apples for the winter market. And there was an evaporator. There were several evaporators.
Yeah, I've got that there were 3 evaporators in Flora, one in Xenia, one in Clay City, and one in Louisville. And evaporators did the coring and the peeling, sliced and dried.
Okay.
Yeah, so So there were 3 of those. Actually, one of the locations of one of the evaporators in Flora was on the northwest corner of South Main and Maple. Once again, I think that's where the senior building's at.
Okay.
I bet that's where, because that's the north, because if you're looking, that is the northwest corner, right there where the senior citizen building is now, where we have Meals on Wheels and stuff is picked up. So I bet right there, I bet that building... Well, that we're talking. What year are we talking though? We're talking the 1800s, right?
Late 1800s, early 1900s.
Okay. Yeah. So that was on that. Yeah, that's where one of the main evaporators.
Yeah. Well, the evaporators they would employ several people too. So almost every family was working in the apple business. So you had people that were working the orchards, but you also had people that were in all these little side businesses that were supporting the main industry of apples. So at apple picking time, several persons were employed at the evaporators where fruit was peeled, sliced, and dried in large ovens. So to peel the apples, mechanical devices operated by the women were used. The peeler would place an apple on a fork-like gadget, get it turning, and pare the fruit and pass it on to the corer. And the good peeler could dispose of as many as 100 bushels of apples a day. Can you imagine peeling 100 bushels of apples a day?
No. Well, do you remember Pampered Chef's big thing?
Yes, they have those things.
And you stick that apple in there and you do this. You know how long it took just to make one pie? And you're talking and everybody worked. Men, women, children, everybody had jobs.
Yeah, I guess these evaporators, the women probably had to crank things and do mechanical. I mean, it wasn't computerized back then, so I bet they were sore and tired.
Oh, my
I mean, the whole community. Yes, this was great for our community that we were the big supplier, but think how hard these men and women worked. It said that the men and boys did the picking and the hauling, while the women did the sorting and the barreling.
Yeah.
And there was around 25 workers in one average-sized orchard.
So think of how big an apple tree is.
It's not. They're not huge.
They're
it's
not huge,
like a big
but you
old
still
tree
have to get on a.
Oh yeah,
you'd have to get on a ladder or climb up there and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it absolutely. I just find it fascinating. Yeah. Oh, and then they were shipped by railroad.
Yes.
Yes, and there was an actual barrel factory, and the barrel factory was on East 6th Street in Flora, right where the Flora battery and alternator is at now. So let's just talk about these barrels.
Yes.
Because so we're shipping them out everywhere.
Yes, and the barrels were a whole other side business. So there were 2 or 3 copper shops in Flora. Copper shops. And in 1910, where the barrels were being made by the hundreds. So every day in Florida, hundreds of copper barrels are being made just to support all of the apples that are coming out of the trees, because there's millions of them. So hundreds of barrels per day. And then these barrels were hauled to the orchards on wagons in large flaring racks that probably held 100 barrels. So one wagon, 100 barrels going down the road.
Oh, gosh.
And a few of the cull apples were fed to the hogs. So the cull apples would probably be the ones that were already cored or not good apples. The bad ones went to the hogs. And but many were hauled to the cider mills to make into cider vinegar.
Let's talk a little bit. Oh, yeah, the apple cider vinegar. You know how much do you remember, did you remember reading what the barrel packers were called?
No.
Tail pickers.
Oh, yeah, I think I did write that down. Tail pickers.
I think that's kind of a...
What do you do for a living, Stacey?
I'm a tail picker.
Oh, you're a tail picker. Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, my dad's a tail picker, too. Do you know him? Like, I'm sure that was the conversation, don't you think?
It had to have been.
It was common just to be a tail picker.
I guess those tail pickers working really hard, they made 30 cents an hour. Isn't that something?
That's something.
Yeah, I have a little article here, too, and here's some of the Lepo and Hawks packers of fancy fruit in Xenia. Lepo and Hawks. The employees of an apple evaporator in Louisville. The only person identified is Bertha Barbie. Yeah.
I think I might have.
Do you have any pictures? Do you have any of those pictures up?
I
love these guys.
Do. So let's look at this one.
Oh, isn't that fun?
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh, I just saw the guy up on the ladder in the.
Oh, there's more than one guy in a ladder.
Look at that.
This is a hidden picture, y'all.
This is great.
How many pickers can you find in the apple trees picture? This is a game.
Oh, look at the little girl, Beth, standing on the barrel.
Yeah.
And the women in their hats. I mean, that is.
So you just took your kids to work, and they helped too.
Wow.
And if they need
now, where did you find? I haven't seen this picture. Where did you find this?
Frank Hargis had this.
Oh, yep. Frank Hargis has got the best pictures. We take.
This is a 1912 picture. I don't know if I said the year.
You didn't say the 12.
Okay.
So those are the barrels we're talking about? It would have had to have been.
Yeah, those are the barrels.
So,
but those barrels,
are they? Those look.
Those
wooden.
don't look copper, but.
Because I'm wondering,
copper ones.
Yeah, if they're copper, they would have been super heavy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe they're lined in copper. I don't know how it works.
They might be lined in copper. I bet they're wooden barrels, and then the outside, like the metal that holds them together, could be copper, or the inside to keep them. But look at the guys in the trees. So they got their bags on. How heavy are those bags going to get?
Pretty heavy.
So how many men in the trees we got? 1, 2. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you see 6?
I see 7.
Count
the kids too. I think.
Okay, well,
kids maybe.
I only see the 4 on this side and the 2 on the other side.
Oh, I was counting that as 3 on the other side, but maybe that is just his bag he's holding on to. Maybe that's not a person in the center.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
yeah, 6 or 7.
Boy, I'll tell you what though, I can. That picture, I love that picture.
Yeah, and then let's look at this one.
My goodness sakes.
This is harvest time, and this is 1898. So this is right in the middle of the heyday, of the apples. Everybody's at work, and everybody stopped and posed for a break.
Now let's just talk a little bit about. Are we talking like the time? Well, how long do they have to sit there to get this picture taken?
No, well, a lot longer than what we sit for a picture.
Oh, goodness.
I bet it took several minutes. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
We'd have to research that.
Like, okay, everybody stop. They probably wanted to break because we're talking in the fall. But you're talking probably, what, September? I mean, it's still pretty toasty.
Yeah.
Oh, tail pickers.
Yes. So
tail pickers, 30 cents an hour.
Yes.
I can't even imagine what that was like.
So the apples, let's see, from the evaporators, the apples were dry. They were marketed in many parts of the United States. They were all shipped out in railroad cars in bulk until about 1925. The better quality apples were packed in apple barrels. After that, baskets were used mostly. So around 1925, they switched from the big barrels to the baskets.
Well, you remember whenever we, what episode, Beth, you're going to have to refresh my memory, which president came through?
It was Eisenhower.
Eisenhower, yes. And each time that Eisenhower came through, him and his wife were both given baskets of apples.
Yes, they were.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I thought this part was interesting. The bagasse or bagasse was the part of the apple left after the juice was squeezed out and was fed into a dryer. And this was a revolving drum about 4 feet in diameter and 30 feet long. Hot, dry air was forced through this, and the pulp came out the other end dry. And then they were shipped to a factory where Certo, an ingredient for jelly making, was made from them.
Yeah. So we were taking our apples and making jelly out of it.
They used every single bit of the apple, and what they did not eat, what they did not use, which was probably the very center of the core, and they might have used some of that for seeds, but they fed to the hogs, so there was no waste.
Yeah, the name of the apple brand was Sure Gel. What if you can still find Sure Gel?
I think you can. I've heard of it.
Really? Yeah, I've got that the leftover, the end coming out was called pectin.
Yeah.
Pectin, and they made jelly out of that. That is insane to me.
It says 48 trees were usually set per acre. So each acre had 48 trees, and a yield of 8 to 10 bushel per acre was needed to make a profit. And some years, a late freeze or a hailstorm would ruin the crop.
Right.
So then they had good years and not good years.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the ending of our orchard. We'll talk about the cider mills and everything, but when we come back from our commercial break here in a minute. But can you imagine, though, like if your entire town was your orchard? I mean, I guess it's, the difference between farming now when you have drought or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I wonder how long does it take? I never did find this in the research, but how long does it take for an apple tree to grow? So if we're talking 1818, and a gentleman comes in and he's planting, wonder how long it takes for an apple tree to grow to produce all that.
I think they're pretty fast growers. I would guess maybe by year 8, 9, or 10, they would be doing pretty good.
Right.
Maybe quicker. I don't
know.
know.
That might be something that some of our viewers might be able to give us a little hand on, exactly how long it takes to, and what kind of apples are we talking. And I don't understand how they do like the Red Delicious and the Johnny apples. And
well, that's what I was talking about, the seeds in 1818. That guy, he was taking seeds and he was crossing them and he was coming up with better.
Yeah. He was
breeds, or I don't know what you call it.
Horticulturalist. He would have been a horticulturalist.
Varieties.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Huh. Yep. Just like I think this old Clay County soil looks like it'd make a great orchard.
And he was so right, wasn't he?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm just sad about that. Well, honey, we got to take a real quick commercial break, and then we'll come back.
We'll be back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Lumber, doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
Lucas, you better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking apple orchards.
Yes, apples
They're
everywhere. Do you cook with a lot of apples?
No.
Since we're talking about apples, and Beth's mother, Debbie DeVore, made us this beautiful homemade cake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a funny story. So I don't cook a lot. I don't bake much. Well, remember when we were having what were we having at the depot? And we were having like a baking contest.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, how hard could it be to bake an apple pie?
Sure.
So
I made one.
I made one.
How was it?
Well, I never did hear.
Somebody bought it?
Huh?
Somebody bought it?
I don't know,
Like a
but they were
fundraiser?
judging him. I don't know. They probably threw it out the back. But your mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, Beth, I got this. Remember me telling you this? I got the best recipe for an apple pie. And I said, I'm going to make it and put it in there. And you're like, well, my mom is putting an apple pie. I'm like, no, Beth, this recipe is great. And I'm like, no, seriously. And she's like, well, my mom makes the best pies.
Everyone believes their moms make the best pie. So
No,
I mean,
I
like
don't believe
almost
that about my
everybody.
mom.
Well,
No.
I know, but if your mom is a baker, everyone's like, well, my mom makes the best apple pie. Well, I'm here to tell you, my mom makes the best apple pie in the world, and you can argue with me, but until you taste my mother's apple pie, I believe hers is a winner every single time.
Well, guess who won that year?
My mom.
Your mom.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. She has won several pie baking contests.
So they're like talking, the judges are eating that. Of course, I don't think we weren't there watching them do it. And but anyway, they're like, oh, here's the one. I didn't even make it the top 3, and there were probably like 4 apple pies in there. And I'm like, okay, I got to see this picture. Debbie, I don't believe that. So they're like, well, here's Debbie's pie. Beautiful, this and that. And mine's like, nope.
Yours is all caved in. Yeah, hers is always like perfectly mounded.
Exactly. And even when they cut it, I swear, when they cut it, the angels went, ah! And they cut the pie, and the apples just split perfectly like the Red Sea.
Yeah. Here's another thing about my mom and dad is they have their own apple trees, so she usually grows her own apples.
Oh, well, see, if I'd have went and picked her apples, I probably would have won.
I'm sure that's all that it needed.
But Jim, when I went home and said, hey, they're having a contest up at the depot to raise money, I'm going to bake an apple pie. And he was like,
yeah.
Stacey, have you ever made a pie? And I'm like,
how hard can it be? Well, I actually have my mother's baking secrets on pies. So I have made some pies. I bake for a party that we have on 4th of July, and I entered a pie this year at the 4th of July pie contest that they have each year at the 4th of July downtown. It's a fundraiser for the Casa de Cristo mission that Joni Pollard and her family do in memory of Janae. And I entered a pie, and I won 2nd place for my cherry pie.
You did?
I did. My first ribbon ever for pie baking.
Wow.
Super proud of that, so I had to mention it.
And so what's the difference between, like when the Community of Christ would make their apple dumplings? Is it the same thing as a pie, just a baby pie?
No.
It's totally...
I don't know very many people that, this is an unpopular opinion of mine, but I'm going to say it. I don't like apple dumplings. There, I said it. I don't like them. And my mom knows it, and she makes them, and she does not deliver any to our house, at least not for me, because I don't like them.
Yeah.
But it's like a little bit of a harder crust all the way around, and it has the pie filling stuff in it. Yeah. But to me, they're just not as good. Like,
if I have to pick between that and that, I like apple crisp.
I like apple crisp too, because I can go without the crust of a pie. I can just have the good.
But that's like got something like where you take like a cake mix and dump it on there and put stuff.
Or oats. I think a lot of the recipes call for oats.
I like any of those dump cakes where you just seems easy. Dump it all in there and then put that butter on there on top of your white cake mix or whatever. Maybe Debbie, if you're listening, can you please make an Can you make an apple crisp? But I want ice cream. If I'm going to eat any fruit pies, my favorite pie is a chocolate pie.
She doesn't make apple crisp very often.
Yeah,
because her pie.
I'm a cream pie girl. I like chocolate pie. It's my all-time favorite. Mary Kinley makes me one every year for my birthday, and it's fantastic.
I love Mary Kinley.
Oh, I love Mary Kinley too. She's my all-time favorite person. And she made. Yeah, sorry. I did say that. Sorry, everybody that I'm related to, but I love Mary Kinley. And,
oh, golly.
But yeah, nobody else makes me chocolate pie. but it's so good. But if I'm going to eat a fruit pie, I need what's it called when you get it with
ice cream?
A la mode. Yes, because the more fattening, the better. Where are we at in our
I don't know. Let's get back to orchards.
Well, we still stayed on topic.
We're talking about pies.
We're talking about pies. We're talking about apples.
All right, let me see what my next fact here is.
Well, I think we stopped at the barrel pickers being called tail pickers.
Okay.
And they made 30 cents an hour or $3 a day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go back to the Ebner Ice and Storage in Florida. They had the capacity to store up to 30,000 barrels of apples at once in cold storage.
Now, remind everybody where Ebner Ice was at.
Yeah, so Ebner Ice plant was on North State Street, kind of like if you turn there at Huck's and go north, back there angled, that road kind of angles through there and it's kind of back behind the Christian church. That's where the Ebner Ice plant was. It was tall, sturdy building, had some smokestacks, and if you look at old pictures of Florida, a lot of times you'll see the smokestacks in the background of the pictures. But a lot of men worked there. So, I mean, let's just think of all of the industry in Florida and around Florida that were because of the orchards. So you had the orchards themselves. Yep. Then you had the evaporating plants, which there were several. Mm-hmm. You had the Ebner Ice and Storage plant, which was one of the biggest employers too, other than the orchards. And then you had the barrel plant. There was 3 different barrel. What were they called? Plants?
Barrel. Yeah, I would just say barrel plants.
Okay.
Yeah. Barrel businesses.
What else was there?
The evaporators.
I think I said that though. But wasn't there something else? And the baskets. Then there was another the barrel factory, but then that was the one on East 6th Street. But then there was also the baskets later when they switched to baskets.
And then there were 6 of the evaporator plants. Places, so 6 of those, 3 in Florida, 1 Xenia, 1 Louisville, and 1 Clay City. So we're talking, it was a countywide.
The other thing I was thinking of was the cider mills.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about cider mills yet.
Yes, so there was multiple cider mills, and the main one stood south of the railroad tracks in Florida near the Locust and Mill Street area. So that would be
where the lumberyard is.
The lumberyard, and a local gentleman related a tale about when he was a youngster and he would go there in his bib overalls with ties around the ankles of his pant legs. So he would tie off the bottoms of his pants, and he and his friend would stuff their overalls full of apples. Picture this, and then walk out very stiff-legged and walk home. And basically, I guess they were stealing apples. It's kind of
funny is that?
Kind of a bad boy there.
Yeah.
But it said in this article, which this article is probably pushing 20 years old that I'm reading from, but a remnant of this mill is still standing in that area, and it is now used by the Florida Lumber Company and is located in the far southeast corner of their back lot.
Yeah.
Brian Scarborough, can you confirm?
We are coming up later. I'm going to be over there later because I go by the lumberyard all the time.
I want to see the old mill.
Well, yeah, how would we even recognize it?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, are we talking, is it just a piece of concrete that's left over?
It doesn't say.
But I think we need to have something put there. We need a plaque. I think that, like, whenever we find, like, the remnants of anything, we should, like, go put plaques up and say, this is what this was.
That's a great idea.
Before we leave this earth, so then people will
label everything.
Because we need to find people that are younger than us. Like if you're being born now, please love history, because Beth and I are doing a lot of things that we would like to continue on after the Lord takes us home.
And an interesting thing about all of the history notes that we look up, like a lot of them were written, like in. A lot of the ones I use were written in like the 1950s, 1960s, and they got their information from somebody who had written stuff in like the 1920s, who got their information from somebody who'd written down things in like the late 1800s. Okay, and then the one I love, Rena Thomas's, her information. A lot of the notes that she took from were from the guy who wrote in the 1960s, and every generation did their research, and there was a generation before them that had the notes.
Right.
So right now we're using all of these notes, but like the next generation,
where
are they going to get their notes? So they're going to pull us up on YouTube.
Yeah,
and we're gonna,
well, that's true. They're going to Google us.
Yeah,
but it's not going to be near as much fun. But if you think about
we're
that,
just giving you bits and pieces of
we're,
it.
We're talking about 100 years ago, and but 100 years is going to pass after we're all here.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like for people to talk about. That's one reason why I love the cemetery tour.
Oh yeah,
I love Shadows of Elmwood. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But so let's get back to our. There was also the Dunlap cider mill in Flora.
Yeah, tell us about that one.
And it turned out 2,000 to 3,000 gallons of apple cider per day in 1926.
2,000 to 3,000 gallons. So think about a gallon of apple cider. You see those at Walmart. When you walk in the front door in the fall, they have them right there in that very first cooler in the produce section, and that is 1 gallon. Now think about dumping. That is a lot of apple cider per day.
Yeah. And that's just drinkable. I mean, that's just what they ship.
Yeah, because what do they do with the leftover?
Because, well, once again, we're shipping this all over the world.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Not just the United States.
And then what they didn't drink, right, they fermented it into vinegar.
Yes, and then, whatever was left over, they made apple cider vinegar, which, I mean, goodness sakes, what do we use apple cider vinegar for? Everything.
Yeah, you can do anything with apple cider vinegar, and especially back then, like those women knew you can scrub your bathrooms with it, wipe off your kitchen countertops. Like it kills germs. It does all kinds of things, It's a great way to clean without using a bunch of chemicals.
Oh, yeah. You use apple cider vinegar for just about everything.
So one thing, we had a governor of Illinois that was from Louisville. We haven't really talked about him much, but we're going to because I think we're going to cover his house one day. But
yes.
John Tanner was his name. And he had orchards, and his were west of Louisville. And he operated them with his son, Mac Tanner. You have a Mac?
Well, I have a Mac.
Yes.
I have a Mac. A Mac is a perfect person. Just ask me, I'll tell you.
There was a lot of other, almost every family had some kind of stake in an orchard. Even if you lived in town, you might only have like an acre or 2 acres around your house. People would have apple trees. Okay, so just some random names of orchards that were in the area: McNair, Kerr, Parson, Mills, Mosley, Birch, Douglas, and that's just a few.
Yeah.
But it just says everyone in Clay County had an orchard.
Yeah.
And although that's slightly embellished, that surely not everyone did. It's so close to true.
I bet
it's so close.
I bet it's really the Kerr, the Parsons. Yeah, the Waddell orchard, the Thompson orchard, like I said, the Incinerator, Dunlap had a, Yeah, it's I mean, it was kind of crazy to talk about everything that they.
And another business too that was because of the orchards was the Simpson Fruit Company.
Yes,
and that was if you know Mary Ann Ayers, it was her father. He worked for the Simpson Fruit Company, and
let's talk. We got to take a quick commercial break, and let's talk about the fruit company when we come back.
Okay.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have Galaxy Bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
The insurance specialists have options to tailor to your needs at CSI Insurance Brokers. Experienced insurance brokers at CSI are skilled with all types of insurance plans and policies and represent many companies, including Safeco Insurance. You'll benefit from their detailed expertise, unbeatable premiums, and commitment to customer service. CSI Insurance Brokers and Safeco Insurance Company, providing affordable rates on quality insurance since 1952.
For over 50 years, at your locally owned and operated Roll King Supply in Salem and Olney, we've helped you and your neighbors enjoy an easy country lifestyle. We carry the most thorough sporting goods department around with a huge variety of hunting and fishing gear, camping equipment, and a variety of firearms for any need. Our team is here to help you find whatever you need. Open every day, it's Roll King in Salem and Olney, your locally owned farm and home store.
Okay, welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about orchards.
Yes, we are talking about orchards and how Clay County was the king of apples.
King of apples. And there were so many orchards, and all of the other businesses in town and in the county were related to the orchards. They were the whole thing was the main employment.
And before commercial break, we were talking about the
business that was needed in order to make the orchards and everything productive. Their office was above where Wiley Realty is now, right there on the corner of Main and North Avenue. The man that ran it, Mr. Simpson, he lived at 215 East 5th.
Okay.
Which is an older home that we could definitely probably cover. When we talk about old houses, we'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, because that building originally was a beautiful hotel and had a beautiful restaurant at the bottom of it. We want to cover too. So I'd imagine at the time that what year are we in?
Early 1900s,
right? So,
maybe up to the 1920s.
Yeah. So on the bottom part, it would have been that hotel and that beautiful. That beautiful dining area they had.
So what did Simpson Fruit Company do? They transported the fruit, the apples. So this was kind of like not really a trucking company, but sort of. They took the apples from the orchards to the Ebner Ice Storage Building, and then from there to the train station. And then the trains took them to their destination.
So let's go back to the beginning. So we're in the orchard. Our tail pickers are in the orchard.
Yes.
Okay, so they load them all up in barrels.
Yes.
They came from our barrel factory.
Yes. And
then the barrel from there, they're by, I'm assuming, horse and buggy. To the fruit factory.
Yes, and I think the Simpson Fruit Company is who picked them up at the orchards. Took them to, I think some of them were probably shipped out without being touched. Just apples. Probably. Like, here you go. Yeah. Then the others were taken to the evaporators. They were peeled. They were dried. They
would have been taken to the mills.
And then, the others to the cider mills where cider was made, vinegar was made. Then there was probably trucks that came along and picked up the remnants. That was taken to the hogs on the farms.
Wow.
And then, kind of the circle of life. The hog eats the apple and the human eats the hog. It was this
it really is.
This whole circle of life here. I feel like the Lion King.
But
the circle of life.
But it is true.
It is true.
Yeah.
And so the Simpson Fruit Company would take them to the train station, was final destination. And there are still scales at the depot. Did you know that there are still scales out there on the platform?
I wondered what those were, but I did not know.
They are. They're on the south
side,
east corner of the building. But, they're up next to the building, and it's basically, it looks like a metal platform. That's all that it looks like. But those were the original scales.
How fun! Seriously, that's awesome.
They're still there. So take a walk, go around the building.
The
scales are there.
I think that Ron Ayers had told me that they were scales, but I don't think that he really went into
detail of how they were used.
Because it's like, okay, so since we started doing By the Way with Beth and Stacey, it's like, you heard the orchards. Oh, yeah, we had orchards. No, we were the orchards.
Yeah,
and how it employed everybody, and everybody was involved. And can you imagine, like, the community involvement in all of this? Everybody was touched by, everybody had a part. And Ron had mentioned that it was, but he didn't really go into detail about how it was the apples.
Yeah, so the scales were there. They would weigh them, which Marianne has good memories of this, and her dad was the kind of the numbers guy, I think, for the company. And the issue was that the floor scales were not accurate. So they would say, like, this whole shipment of apples might weigh, let's just say 1 ton, okay? I don't even know if that's close. But and then they get to New York, and they weigh them there, and they said, we paid you for 1 ton, and this is only 3/4 worth of 3/4 ton of apples.
Oh.
There were issues with the scales over the years, and the Flora Depot scales were never really accurate. I don't know why, and I don't know if it's just because we didn't have the technology to perfect it, and that's just small
So
pound
you're
scales.
telling me that those scales weighed heavier than what you actually are?
I don't know. It could have been the opposite.
I'm going to go, because like next time I go to the doctor,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go to those scales.
Yeah, I don't think they actually work.
And then
they're no longer working. But that's just an example of how it worked. And then things were loaded onto the train. And you know what else at the depot? There is a beautiful mural inside the depot in the museum. If you guys have not been inside the museum at the depot, well, that's a whole other show. But there is a mural in there painted by Alice Phillips of Flora.
Yes.
And it is of the orchards. It's beautiful.
I highly recommend anybody out there go to the depot and go through that museum, the train room. All of our history is in that beautiful, beautiful building. It is fascinating. You're going to walk through there and be like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Every time we go in there, it's
every
just
time
like,
I see something new, and I've
something
helped in
new.
there for years.
Yeah, and the kids, I took my grandson Jack in there a couple years ago, and a year ago or so, he was probably 2. And man, he was fascinated by that train set. He watched it, and then you can see yourself on the TV.
The kids love it.
The kids love it. I highly recommend that you do that. But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, Beth.
They do, and it happened.
In 1930, insects, disease. Here's another thing that we still haven't really figured out in here. The high cost of spraying trees, the demand for higher wages, profit.
That caused the apple trees
It was
to
a
go.
lot.
It was a trifecta, if you would, of things.
Yeah.
There was disease going through the apple trees. There was insects like crazy. Some years insects are worse than others, but maybe they had one of the years of the cicadas.
Yeah.
Or who knows. But
and then you have to. So when those come, then you have to spray the trees. So then that's an extra added expense.
And that was an extra.
And then you've got people that are like, oh, we're doing this, we're this, or that, so we want higher wages. So then you pay that. When profits suffer, things close down.
Yep. And then there was also a late freeze one year, right around the time that the apple diseases and insects were worsening. Everyone wanted higher wages, and the orchards they weren't profiting anymore, and they just died off.
Yeah. And I wonder, so I wonder, because you're talking this whole place, if you would have looked at this place from a drone back then, it would have been nothing but tree. It would have been so many trees. I wonder what happened to them all. And why did somebody eventually
they just died. They all died. All the trees died.
And so that would have taken out the root and everything.
Yeah. The tree died, and I'm sure they just, they
plowed
probably had
them up.
Yeah. Yeah, they all died. I really think, after all the research that I've done, the main thing that killed off all the trees was a tree disease that went through.
Yeah.
And that's something I kind of looked up, and I think it was kind of going across, the whole United States at the time. There were several tree diseases at the time that I read about in one of the books. But I think that was probably the main reason. The insects, too. The higher wages, yes.
Yeah.
There was a hailstorm mentioned in one article. I mean, all of these things just came together, and boom, it was done.
Then we had the Everett Weiler had an orchard still in the 40s and 50s.
Okay.
And then the longest standing orchards, of course, is Ray's Orchard over in Clay City and the Apple Branch Orchard in Louisville. And I don't know that either one of those are still operating. I don't know either. I wondered about that, Ray's. I mean, they did all of them through the 80s. I knew the family personally. And then, people get older and kids move on and stuff. I'd have to ask Andrea. But I don't believe Ray's is still. They were the longest. Those two were the longest standing orchards that we have. But I just find it fascinating. I mean, could you imagine? Because now when we go by, we see farmland. I love seeing our farmland. It's wonderful, But it would have been interesting to see. Because have you ever been down to Ray's? Have you ever been to an apple orchard?
Sure, I've been to lots of apple orchards.
Yeah, because of course everybody goes over to Eckert's. Eckert's over
I have
in
been
Belleville.
there.
Yeah, but Ray's, I've been down on the Ray's apple orchard. It's pretty neat.
Last-
Lots of hard work. They don't just fall off those. It's hard work.
Yeah, two falls ago, I went to Vermont during peak season in the fall. It was beautiful out there. And our little country inn that we stayed at, which was like a Hallmark movie kind of atmosphere, had an apple orchard directly across the street from it. We went over there and drank fresh cider.
Oh, it's
and
wonderful.
it had the whole apple orchard fall experience. I felt like I was in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
It's
Do
beautiful.
you ever go over to Eckert's over in Belleville?
I have been there one time.
Yeah. My son Connor lives in Belleville, and I didn't even really realize it existed till he was going to school over that way. Then he moved to Belleville, and Eckert's is pretty cool, and they do a real big fall blowout.
Yeah.
They have a wonderful restaurant in there. It's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah, I ate there one time.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But
With
yeah,
Marianne Ayers, and
Yeah.
I went there. I was just talking about her earlier.
yeah,
so.
yeah. But it's interesting. It's fascinating how we're all tied to one another.
We are.
But that's the orchard.
Yeah,
Orchard
that's the
City.
story about the orchards, and that's why we were Orchard City, and we are no longer Orchard City.
Yeah. Kind of makes me sad.
It's a little sad.
You know what? Honestly, we really need to, just a little plug in for Nostalgia Theater. We have taken possession of the town theater. We're turning it into a community theater venue type setting. And on the back, we have a beautiful brick wall. And honestly, Beth, whenever we want to do a mural sooner or later, of course, it's going to be like music and stuff, but I think we need to have an apple tree somewhere.
Oh, that's a good idea to add to our mural.
Because the murals that we
apple
have
tree.
in town don't, and we really need to bring back that orchard feel.
I
That
have a
might
really
be-
good idea for one with an apple tree in it.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't use the back, of course, we still need a roof. I'm talking about
Important things first.
Important things first, but sooner or later we would love to. But of course, we're theater, so it will be the theater type theme. But where on earth could we put? And yeah, because I'm thinking.
Oh, I already know. I already have it in my mind.
Where we're going to put it? I'm talking where we're going to paint it, because the murals that we have painted in town don't even mention orchards.
We'll paint it on the back wall of the theater.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
Our beautiful brick wall back there.
Yeah, we'll paint an apple tree on it, and then we'll have a wooden swing hanging from the branch, and then you can have your picture taken, and it looks like you're swinging.
Oh, she's always thinking.
I like that idea.
Always thinking.
I like that idea. If we
Well,
don't put
let's-
it there, we can put it somewhere else.
Yeah, we don't. But we'll put it somewhere. But I just thinking like when you drive through. I mean, people would have to come there. I'm talking like because we have the murals that are popping up around town. I'm thinking literally like when you drive through. I think we should have a sign that should say.
Yeah, there's no mention of this
There's no
anywhere.
mention of this
By
anywhere.
golly, the city of Flora, let's get on that.
Clay County, total.
make it
We
known.
all need to get on board with this.
Yeah, it wasn't just Flora; it was everywhere.
Could you imagine if we had a sign like entering the county? Once upon a time, King of Apples.
Yeah.
I think
That's
we need
cool.
to talk to somebody about that.
Yes, we should make it happen.
Okay. Now that we've gone off.
Okay, let's get back. We end every show with a rule to live by.
Rules to live by.
What is today's?
And I like this one. Treat every day like a birthday gift.
Oh, I do. I do that. I try. Well, most of the time, I try to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are days I don't.
Treat every day like a birthday gift. Because we want positivity in the world.
You just be thankful that you are alive.
Okay, so I
Be
love
glad
my
for
Do you
the
love
day.
your birthday? I love my birthday.
I love my birthday.
I'm
and
one of
everybody
those-
knows when it's my birthday.
Me too. I'm like, hey, it's September. It's September 1st. My birthday's not till the 21st, so y'all know. And but I'm one of those. It's like, oh, it's my I'm a birthday month girl.
Me too.
I've never
mine's
understood
February.
why people are like, oh, it's my birthday. It's like, what?
I'll tell you, people that
love
say
it.
that, and if you're listening, I'm talking to you. People that say that have never had a moment where they thought they were going to die.
Truth, yeah.
Because if you have ever thought you were about to die, then you suddenly see your birthdays as a celebration.
I agree.
And I have been there. I went through cancer. I had a really terrifying time in my life, and I didn't know if I would be here for very many more birthdays. And
That's
by golly,
right. You
I
celebrate them all.
And I celebrate them big.
That's how
I'm happy.
I remember when I turned 30, and Dorothea Pringle, she was a lady from Clay City, just recently passed away. She was one of the most godly women, wonderful women I've ever known in my life. Loved her dearly. And I was talking to her one day. I'm like, oh, Dorothea, I'm turning 30. Oh, my gosh. Oh, woe is me. And she looked me dead in the face, and she said, well, Stacey, God doesn't have to give you another one. And I went,
ouch.
Wow. That's what Dorothea was like, a pow, pow. And,
use that the next time somebody says that to me.
And she said, Stacey, birthdays are a blessing from God.
Yeah.
Not everybody reaches 30.
Yeah.
It's what she told me. So I've always loved I don't know, what is it? We always do this weird stuff. Oh, I'm 30. But anyway, that's my story of birthdays. And that is our story for orchards. And it's time for us to bid adieu for another show.
Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.
All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.